Well, this Sunday we just kicked off our new series through the Sermon on the Mount. And it reminded me of this moment where in the Harry Potter series, there's this special tent. On the outside, it looks small, ordinary, and uncomfortable. But once you step inside, you realize it's vastly larger than you could have imagined. Fully furnished with a kitchen and bedrooms and a large den for entertainment, it feels like home. And it's all made possible, and hear this, by a spell that could expand the interior of a structure without altering its exterior appearance. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking we could really use that at Lost River to expand here, but this is one way to think about the Sermon on the Mount. On the outside looking in, it might seem like the most restrictive, demanding, uncomfortable life you could live. It's no wonder Jesus calls it the narrow path. But once you step inside, once you submit to Jesus' authority and make this message your way of life, you realize it's the most freeing life you could imagine. We're freed from things like resentment, lust, comparison, anxiety, and wealth. And we become the kind of people who can freely love our enemies and keep our word and give from a sincere heart and judge ourselves before looking at anybody else. In other words, we become totally freed from selfishness and pride that destroys our relationships and totally given over to love for God and neighbor. This is the narrow path, yes, but it's the narrow path that leads to life, the good life, the spacious life, life to the full. See, we typically think that the good life comes by changing our external circumstances, our financial situation, career, marriage and family, health, so on and so forth. If we could just change the external circumstances, everything would be good. But even if all that could be made right, what good would it be if we're not right in our souls? One day, the whole world will be made right, but for now, Jesus comes not to alter our external circumstances. Rather, He comes like that spell to expand and renovate and furnish the interior structure of our souls. And the more we walk this narrow path, the more our souls become a home for the fullness of God's life and love to dwell in us. In other words, the more we step into that narrow path, the more we step into the presence of Christ Himself, dwelling with and in and through us. So, over the next 10 weeks, join us and join a discussion group as we move through the narrow path and experience life to the full.